going to be moving into the last match now. We have Yogzototh versus Desmond Tutu.
Love those
Another
names.
CBT.
Love those names.
I mean, CWA has already clinched overall, has won overall. They've actually gone 3-0 today in the B team. So showing why they're
3-0 in the B
best
team
so far, yeah. Showing why they're so strong in the league. Their B team getting all those wins for them.
All right. So yeah, even though they have clinched it, you know, we're playing out all the games of the series, so we will cast this guy. And you know, another ZVT is, it'll be interesting to see how it relates to the first match that we saw, and how these players play, if there's any real differences in their styles, etc. Always good opportunity to learn from.
For sure. Alright, so let's see here. On the left-hand side of the map, we have from Team Beast our purple Zerg, Desmond Tutu.
And on the right side of crossing field, the teal Terran Yogzototh. And Yog did really well in that seeding tourney, and he's been doing pretty well in general throughout the matches.
Yeah, he's a pretty strong B teamer, I would say. Like, I do believe he actually beat one of the A teamers in the tourney.
Yes, I think that is true.
It was a TVT, so the matchups, you know,
it doesn't
could be
count.
a little iffy. Yeah, but and I do believe when he played my team Supply Block, he went down 2-0 to Jitter, but Jitter's now since been promoted to A team.
Yep,
So,
that's fair.
Other than that, I think he's shown some pretty solid play, so we'll have to see how he matches up here against Desmond.
Yep, and you know, last time we saw a lot of 2 racks pressure builds, and then just slightly late hive tech really sort of was the theme of both those games. So this might end up being a little different. I'm really not sure how either of these players approach the matchup.
Yeah.
But the maps remain the same. So in terms of what is available to both of them is pretty much the same toolkit.
Okay, he's sending out. Oh, okay. I was gonna say he's putting his racks down front. It looked like he was sending out 2 SCVs or something. I was like, but no, he's just gonna build his racks out front. So it looks like he's planning to take the front base here instead of opting for the back natural.
So all of the stuff we were talking about with the Protoss wall kind of applies here. It's a little different with a Terran wall since they're not relying on cannons so much as Marines. But certainly the potential for Zergs to come in from 2 angles on your wall is a dangerous one. Really good harassment here from this SCV. Actually might kill the drone.
Oh, yeah, 1 hit there.
But in the meantime, Desmond Tutu actually took the back natural. He's got 2 drones kind of watching the fight. It's like it's a pit. But they should really get back to work. And his SCV continues to harass.
This is actually interesting. We saw the Zerg in the Protoss match take the back natural right away as well. I think versus Terran, you're pretty fine to take it out front because you can get your Sunkens up and just defend a early Terran push. You'll have knowledge of that right away. And then take the back later because that 2000 gas is only 2000 gas, right? It'll be more impactful if you can get that later as your third than taking, you know, having to worry about defending your natural as your third gas.
Yeah, and I think he would have done that if it weren't for this SCV.
Good point, yeah.
Generally, you don't want to harass too heavily with an SCV because drones regen health and SCVs don't. But in this case, you know, the SCV's been getting a lot of free hits. The drone's just been running, so he's been able to bully quite a few drones, and he's still at 40 of 60 health. Looks like their dash will just barely go down, so that's good. But he started gas mining. Desmond Tutu started gas mining very early compared to a standard 3-hash muta build. And so I'm wondering if Yog took note of that. He was able to scout that, and if he's going to make any adjustments. We do see the lair coming in at a pretty quick timing. So 6 lings are out, pretty much a 2-hatch lair timing, but we have a 3rd hatch.
Okay.
So it's interesting.
We'll see how this plays out for him. We see Yog going for a 2 racks build here. Looks like he's kind of just putting both his racks to make a little wall here with a bunker.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. So he was being very aggressive with that SCV, but at this point he has no map vision at all. Um, I guess he did see the early gas, but that could easily be used to just get speed, and then this could be like 3 hatchling all in, no problem. With a wall like this, Lings are gonna flood in, and that bunker's dead, and then the Terran is dead. So this is a little scary, but luckily for him, Desmond has been droning behind this, so he's gonna be safe. But I think that this wall is a little suspect.
Yeah, especially because like, if Zerg was making a bunch of links, he could always just, like we mentioned earlier, he could just go around and run kind of behind this bunker and just run right up the ramp and just destroy the Terran main, right? He's
Yep.
not really protecting that area the best. Like maybe if the bunker was further back, closer to the CC, kind of behind the barracks, he's kind of protecting his front and that other choke. But as it is here, like links could easily run behind.
Yeah, and we see an aggressive push out with Pure Marine. That's such a risky thing, especially when your academy's just finished. Like you really need to just hang out for medics. So he felt confident that those were the only Zerglings. But if these are bait Zerglings and then there's another 20 Zerglings up on this ridge, that's basically game over. And there's really no reason to do that. Um, if you're gonna actually force the push with the 2 racks, you just wait for the medics.
Yeah. And we do have a medic out now. A couple medics. One's in the main for some reason. Hang out in the mineral line.
Oh, miss rally, I guess. But that could
Yeah, he
be
goes
okay.
CPL.
He caught that. Yeah, the difference between 1 medic and 2 medics is pretty big. And then we do have a fast fact follow-up. So I wonder how much of this is Yogg's natural TVZ style and how much is playing to the map because he can get that third base quickly. So you have a lot more gas to spend on those mech units.
Yeah, I wonder if he's probably going for some kind of like one of the 3 tank timing push or something. You get a few tanks, get a good group of bio, and then go push.
Yep, and we do see 3 Sunkens in place for Desmond. So, he saw that early push out with the Marine count, and he was content to just get the early Sunkens. Honestly, with the rush distance and the spotterlings, probably better if you just keep him as creeps, and then you're not going to delay your mutas, because right now he's supply blocked, he needs the Overlord, and he's got 500 gas with we got 4 mutas out. So, if these Sunkens were creeps, that's a decent amount of cash to keep this muta timing tighter. But as it is, he's only going to be able to attack with 4 mutas, and that's really not that scary. No Terran's going to have too much trouble dealing with that.
Yeah, if they were all creeps, that would have been another 150 minerals saved. Would have been another 1.5 mutas he could have had.
Right, or if that just means he gets the Overlord faster, lots of things there. So
Yeah.
that's something to look at. You really want to do whatever you can. Any weird things happening or build, you just want to be conscious of when that muta timing is and trying to get that 900 as fast as possible.
Yeah, you want to spend as little on static defense as you can get away with, and if you had with those spotterlings, you see he kind of pulled his marines back, then you don't need them all that quickly. Now, if he commits further across the map and you have some lings, you see him coming up to like the middle of the map. Okay, or up to the ridge. Okay, you gotta morph them, or you're gonna die. But the way he was doing it, where he just pushed your lings out, went back, didn't need them that early, for sure.
Yep, and so now the muta count is starting to grow, but we've also been spending money on tech, so the mins have not been high enough to really support full muta production. And so we're reaching 8 minutes here, and we still haven't had 9 mutas. So this is like the effectiveness of mutas is directly proportional to how fast they show up. And at this point, we've got 3 turrets down here on the bottom of the main. We got 2 turrets towards the top. We've got 2 turrets in the natural, and Terran has been constantly producing Marines. So by the time your 9 mutas show up, Terran's going to be able to deal with that. Whereas if you showed up a minute and a half earlier, it's very possible you can do game-ending damage. But now I really doubt that these mutas will be too effective.
We see kind of turrets everywhere. He's got a group of M&M here in the main to kind of keep these mutas at bay, keep them away from his tech. He does scout that there is no third base yet from the Terran.
Yeah, so it's very good, get whatever damage you can, get whatever scouting you can. And he is doing a much better job of droning up behind his tech, so he's actually got decent saturation on 3 bases. He's got Lurker Tech coming. Is there a Queen's Nest? It's at the 3rd, so it's almost done. So much tighter tech from Desmond, but his mutas are a lot less aggressive and effective. Ooh, we have free medics. That's a nice pickup, and his Overlord can see those. You really need to go in for those.
Okay, he's grabbing one now. He did lose an Overlord too, Desmond, at the front
Yeah,
of his base.
over at the ridge. That really could just be a Zergling, but not the biggest deal.
Yeah.
Science Vessel's now out, so this Muta Harass, if it wasn't shut down already, would definitely be done. He might be able to snipe it. He's got 2 Scourge nearby. I'm not sure if that's just to block a drop at that path, or if he's intending to go in with Muta Scourge to get it, which would be a really sick Gosu move, but it doesn't look like
Sniping
it.
that first vessel would be good. Can make your mutas last a little bit longer to harass, because once he has that first irradiate in that clump, you gotta like split him, take a lot of damage really quickly on all those mutas.
Yep, and actually he's readying some lurkers over towards the middle of the map. I don't know if those are intended to be stop lurkers. There's lings there too, so you generally don't set a stop lurker trap by lings, but this is kind of interesting because there's no reason that Terran has to go that way. And meanwhile, there's no lurkers at his base, so you need to really keep tabs on the Terran if you're doing this, because if they show up and you've got 4 lurkers out of the fight, that could be pretty bad for you.
Yeah, as long as you know where the Terran army is, that's okay. But if the Terran decided to go down south and you didn't see it, I guess he has an Overlord there, but he's got good actually map vision. I don't think the Terran army could get to his base without him knowing, but like just an option, like if those lurkers are going to be there, make sure you're on top of where the Terran army is.
Yep, generally good map vision, which is very important, but these are slow overlords that he's really relying on, and they can just die, and then Terran can pull back, and all of a sudden your map vision is gone. Oh, we do have an irradiate coming in. That Scourge is still available, so he could potentially go for that. The split is taking a little bit. Oh man, that's a lot of damage, and he gets it. Oh, but he's dangerously bringing it back. Gotta watch out.
He gets it out, puts it back in. So all those mutas took a fair bit of damage. It was a decent split, but it could have been quicker. He didn't lose any other mutas that he didn't need to, so that's good.
Yeah, that was totally a reasonable reaction. Oh, but this is not so good. Now he's got bruised mutas, so loses a few there, and Yag was hunting for those. He's got more vessels. He knew that's where they were hanging out, so he wanted to try to trap them. And again, we have a giant staging area. He's actually added a ton more lurkers to this position, but he knows there's mines out. This is super dangerous to push lurkers up.
Especially kind of shaking it on the low ground above this ramp, because Terran could have put a couple of tanks and used the high ground to his advantage. Now Zerg's pushing up and getting this high ground, which is, a lot better. But he can just keep, irradiating these lurkers, and he's got a tank now he could use.
This lurker crawl is really interesting. Generally, you don't want to be doing this because you're trying to just stay at the razor's edge of defense and get that hive tech up. But it is proving to be decently effective, and his control is decent with it. But I kind of wonder, what he's really going to get done now that the tank's out, especially. That's just free hits. So he is going to run. This mine is so close. Oh my god! Oh, that's a lot of hurt lurkers. But that's one of the main things, is that lurkers alone can't deal with mines, and mines have been out. Desmond has been aware of those for a while. So this is a questionable decision to do this sort of pure lurker push.
He does have some mutas and a couple hydras with it now, but he doesn't have anything to spot for any mines.
Oh, there's another irradiate muta clump.
Oh, the split. Okay. Luckily for him, the irradiated one got killed.
Yep, just slightly out in front. But this is decent pressure in terms of just keeping Terran back, but what are you really going to accomplish with this? Like, he doesn't have a fourth going. House's tech, it looks like I don't see any defilers, although there is a defiler mound. I don't know if he already has the consume complete. But they're just kind of fighting over this middle of the map for nothing. Like, neither player's trying to expand, and I'm just not sure why Zerg's committing to this without getting any benefit.
Well, Terran just expanded to their back natural now. Just got his back CC up, so he's going to have a third base, a third gas, and everything kicking in.
Oh, I actually hadn't looked over there. I didn't realize that wasn't mining yet. So that's actually pretty late for Terran.
That is pretty late.
And he's floating a decent amount of money even on the 2 base. So I would say Yogg does have to work on his TVZ macro a little bit, and he has been facing a lot of pressure this game, so I would understand that it slips. But that's gonna hurt.
And Zerg is now trying to clear out this area so he can take his 4th base. Took a little bit too much damage on those mutas, but clears it up decently. He can go ahead and get that base, but a cloud of science vessels coming over here.
Yeah, that's a lot of vessels. They're gonna be able to just kill so many of these lurkers. We do have some Scourge coming in. Vessel's reaction is pretty quick, but not quick enough. One goes down, and the second one does go down as well. So I see a lot of really strong lurker play out from Desmond, but where is the Defiler? I mean, the Defiler, one lurker and one Defiler is so much stronger than 10 lurkers.
And he does have a Defiler out now. Seems like it could be a little late. It's just sitting at the front of his natural. Front natural. He's coming over to help with the 4th now.
I can only assume Consume is done, but
I hope so.
I haven't seen it, so I'm not sure. Meanwhile, where are the upgrades for either of these players? We actually have 2 Carapace out from Zerg, so that's pretty good. And Terran is only on 1-1, although they have sort of soft mech'd. Like, we have a couple of factories. We started Vulture production really early. We're only on 4 barracks, actually. That's why Yogg's money is so high. And gonna snipe that tank. So this is now tankless, which makes this push a lot less scary. And so Desmond's doing a really good job of just pushing the Terran where he wants him. I would say really just want to be getting that base and tech beforehand. Because there was a few minutes there where he was pushing for nothing. If he had a base started behind that, he'd be so far ahead right now.
Yeah, for sure. But like you said, he's doing a good job. He's kind of pushed this M&M force away from all this high ground and back to the middle of the map. Terran could just kind of move over the middle because he doesn't have anything kind of guarding this position. He just buried 1 lurker now, getting
killing a lot of Marines. Holy crap! There's no medic here.
Yeah. Okay, that lurker did more than I thought it was.
Yeah, that was nuts. That's a 7-kill lurker. So even if he just dies, that's worth.
Case flooding in some lings to try and kill this.
Yeah, good amount of lings on top of the tanks.
Yeah. If you can kill off this Terran army, he gets a little bit more map presence. Oh, he's that's close.
Yeah, he can absolutely take that. I mean, this is upgrades advantage. You know, 2 Carapace is a big deal. When you're ahead of the Terran in armor versus attack, that means that you can take so many hits compared to even or even below. Yogg does have his 4th base going, so this is now kind of a time bomb. If Desmond doesn't get his 4th or even a 5th base and doesn't do damage, then Terran is going to be able to outmine him basically. But Terran doesn't have enough production, so even though he's got the economy, he's not really able to spend it.
Yeah, both of them have banks are getting up there a little bit, so.
The thing is, Zerg is much more naturally get rid of their money. You know, just by virtue of expanding, you have hatches, and then once you get to Ultra Tech, that money just disappears. But Terran, if you're missing rounds, you just don't get those rounds back. There's no way to make up for failed macro. This army actually going to sneak up on Desmond. He is unprepared for this. He's got his Mutaflock, but there's too much for just pure Muta to deal with.
He's got some links coming in now too. Should be able to clean it up.
And there weren't any drones here, unfortunately. There's only like 3 drones, so Yogg wasn't able to do any damage with that. So just constantly bleeding units. Yogg's not really able to get any damage done.
Yeah, we do see Yogg has like a little bit more of an econ advantage, I'd say, although he hasn't started. He's just now starting to mine from the 4th. But we've seen the Zerg slowly just kind of push Terran back further and further each time. Like, I mean, Terran had few groups of units on the map, was pressuring onto the 4th, had, you know, some Marines in the middle, but now we see all his units are coming down his half of the map.
Yeah, we have Defilers joining this push on the top as well. There's a cloud of vessels, so that'd be a perfect plague. Plague! Yeah, so now Zerg is starting to bleed units here, but he might be able to just barely get the swarm down. And the swarm does go down on top of the tanks, but there's probably enough here to defend this push completely. So that base is going to be safe.
Not a lot of anti-air here. so those mutas could get on top and do some damage, especially if there's no irradiates. Okay, there is an irradiate.
Oh
Oh, the clump mutas.
no!
Oh, that hurts. Okay, so Yogg's gonna be able to hold on to the space for sure.
Yeah,
I knew
and
he had a little push too at the bottom.
yeah, he's doing a good job splitting his army. And he's getting pretty tank heavy. So I'm guessing this is like his intention is to really go into mech. But he needs like 5 more factories. Like he's got room in his base too. Like he left space for factories. He just doesn't have the factories.
Yeah, I'd like to see more production buildings out of him for sure.
Just barely getting that swarm down before all of the Zerglings die, but eventually they do get cleaned up, and it looks like this base is now forfeit. The Vessel Cloud is getting pretty scary, and actually the GG, that's surprising. I mean, this base is a big deal, but...
I mean, I do think he was a little behind, or definitely behind from this. Maybe he thought he couldn't come back, especially now that Terran's got the 4th up and running. He's losing his 4th.
I mean,
it's
there's
definitely a bad position, but...
Oh yeah, he's losing from here, but I don't know if it's quite GG. Like you get a drop in the main, just shut down all the production. You expand to the top. You can retake this with try to get the vessel count down. There's a lot you can still fight for. And yeah, he had exactly Connor just saying in chat. He had so many minerals. Both players had bank. Just because you lose the base doesn't mean it's game over. So I'm a little surprised at the GG there. I thought that was still even enough to play out. But good game. I think that was pretty high level TVZ.
Yeah, well played from both of our players there. I'm looking forward to seeing how game 2 goes on a more normal map. The map everyone knows and is comfortable with, Fighting Spirit.
It's the only map.
Yeah, for some people.
Yeah, I'm hoping CPL gives people the opportunity to experience the glory of non-FS.
Yeah, I think we did a decent job with the pool to give a good variety of different non-standard maps too. So. All right, we'll see here if our boy, or if Desmond here can bring it back against Yogg, or Yogg takes another victory for CWA.
Oh, I didn't update the score, so now it's Yogg 1-0.
Okay. So here we are, top left, we have the yellow Terran, Yogzototh.
And the bottom left, we have the white Zerg, Desmond 2-2.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to respond to Sir Dubadoof. He's asking why Fighting Spirit is used so much. It's just generally balanced, and it gives you a lot of opportunities to play defensively and get to late game. So a lot of players just liked it, and it's stuck as the standard map.
Yeah, it's standard macro map. It's easy to get a third base in a lot of cases and just macro up and play a standard game.
Yep, no weird gimmicks.
So it gives both players fairly even footing to try and play a good solid macro game, and it's a good map to practice on for that as well. So. All right.
Yep. So we have to see if Desmond's aggression is going to pay off this game. I mean, honestly, he did such a good job in the mid game pre-Hive, just pushing Terran back and getting some decent army trades in, but he wasn't fighting for anything. Like that's the sort of thing you delay the Terran attack so that you can get your tech up, you get your Hive tech up, try to get a 4th base, things like that. And he was just kind of fighting over the middle without any of that going on. So I think that was the big deal. What kind of clinched it. For
sure. We'll have to see how Terran wants to open. It looks like he is going with this forward racks again. Probably going to throw down his commands in a little bit.
Yep, and
we'll have to see if he does another 2 racks play or if he opts for something different this time.
Yeah, the SCV wasn't able to stop the hatch from going down this game. So, and any variance in Desmond's build isn't going to be as affected. If he was just trying to play sort of out of his comfort zone because he was thrown off a little bit, he should be fully standard this game.
That's true. So yeah, he's 12 hatch. He's got his pool down, started. He's got the SCV chasing this drone around.
Yeah, Yogg likes that SCV harass.
Yeah, I mean, we saw he did a pretty good job with the last game, almost killing that drone. Or did he end up getting it? I don't remember.
No, did he kill it? I don't think he did.
Yeah, but he came really close to killing it anyway.
he was as annoying as possible with it without actually killing it.
Sure. So yeah, we do see the Rax FE here. No Marines started yet, but
Yep,
I
and
guess he knows he's safe because the pool isn't done.
the Overlord actually going into the main to scout. So this Overlord could easily die to the first Marine, but there's actually no Marine coming. We have a supply block out from Yogg.
Oh, that's
So he
unfortunate.
may get out, but I don't think he saw the gas. I'm pretty sure he left right before the gas was taken.
Okay. He doesn't know the gas. He is making a Marine now, so that Overlord's got to get out fairly soon.
Yeah, if he keeps on moving, he should have plenty of time to get out of there, especially if he ducks left to the cliff line, then he'll be totally safe.
Yeah, but you got to be careful with that. Like, if that Marine was out a lot earlier, that Overlord would just forfeit.
Yep, and here we have a completion of a wall here with a bunker and barracks. It's kind of a similar wall, much tighter choke, so it's going to be a little more effective, but it's going to be there just in time because we do have 4 lings, and 1 Marine cannot fight 4 lings by himself.
No.
Actually, a
He's
total of
gonna
6
hold
lings.
Yeah, he's gonna hold it off. Looks like he's probably going for some 2-rack style here again. I mean, it's a lot easier, safer to play than 5 racks style. I mean, 5 racks you have to be really on top of it. It's micro intensive, I think. And you just gotta, have better control overall. Whereas something like a 2 racks play is a little easier to pull off.
Yeah, it's just a simpler stage in the game that you're fighting. You're not trying to get into that late game tech at home while trying to control like 3 groups of M&M versus Marine versus Zergling Muta Lurker. It's like I'm fighting Zerglings and Sunkens. It's much simpler.
For sure.
And you're trying to hit before there's mutas, so it's just like, it's very clear, defined build what you're trying to accomplish. Both players have a pretty good setup going at the moment. Yogg was actually able to get away with, very few defenses early, due to the fact that his wall was well timed, and these Zerglings out from Desmond aren't going to be able to do anything. So that's a bit of a win for him. But we do have a pretty good lair timing. Want to see that Spire coming down. Not sure where it is. There it is, a little bit late. But not the biggest deal. Still a decent timing on that Spire.
Yeah,
So as long... No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I want to see if he gets 9 mutas this time. Because last time we saw he had 5 mutas because he couldn't afford it. He was supply locked or something.
Yep.
I'd like to see if he gets his timing better now without being harassed this game.
So one of the things you have to be conscious of is, the 2-Rex push out. You are going to need a couple of Sunkens. So it's really a matter of when he makes those. He is making a decent amount of Ling, so he might opt to go just pure Ling to defend against this. But that's a little bit risky. And it looks like it will probably work because Yogg doesn't have a ton of Marines, and he's actually going to pick one off. That's really nice. Good awareness there.
Kind of put the Lings in, baited that Marine out, and then went back and killed it, so that was nice.
Yeah, nice moves for sure. I think if Yogg leaves the 3 Marines in the bunker, there's absolutely no way he can fight against this massive Zerglings. But if he takes them out and he has good control up against a wall, let's say, he might trade favorably. But this is letting Desmond get away with not building Sunkens. He did put down his Hydra Den and his Evo Chamber before making Mutas, so that is going to cost a few minerals. That'd be another Muta at least. So he's not going to have a full 9.
Yeah, if he didn't put those down when he did, I think he could, because he's making 7 right now, he could have definitely made 9. Well, he would have been supply blocked too, I guess.
Yep, and he's got this 3rd hatch as well already started. So all of that compounds into not having enough mins for the full 9 mutas, but this is a much better situation for Desmond this game than game 1.
Yeah, for sure. He's going to have 8 mutas coming out, which is better than the 5 he had first games. And
yeah,
I mean, Yogg hasn't been able to pressure yet.
You just can't afford this, unfortunately. Oh, there's the push. So now it's going to be Muta Ling to defend. He has 0 Sunkens.
He's throwing He's throwing a couple down now. I'm not entirely sure about that positioning.
Yeah, it's not great. I guess the rightmost Sunken kind of helps defend if there's some drops on the mineral line later. But if Terran really wants to, they can make a beeline for the ramp.
Yeah, there's a lot of area the Terran could just push along the edge there and up the ramp, I think. I would like to see them a little bit more middle to kind of defend more area, but It looks like he's able to keep the Marines still back here at Yog's choke and his natural. So
Yep, so the mutas are out. Yogg is aware of those. The one thing, he's actually turreted up pretty heavily up here in the upper left corner. And these turrets are not the best position, right? Because there's nothing to cover here. There's no map. So if this turret was just more here, then it covers more area. So generally you don't want to make turrets that far up into the corner. But no big deal. Looks like he's actually invested pretty heavily into turrets. So I don't think the Muta Harass can get anything done. But it looks like Desmond's not interested in being very aggressive with his mutas.
yeah, definitely a little scared with that many turrets. Spending a lot of extra minerals on them that aren't needed, especially if he's not actually going to harass with these mutas.
So this is kind of an interesting move here. We have a lot of M&M coming up to 12, and the mutas actually found them and trying to harass them, but I don't really know what the point of that is. Like, is he trying to clear it out of any Zerglings and expand later? Seems a little early for that.
Maybe he was hoping to catch the mutas coming in that way?
Maybe.
Like flying along the top or something?
That's certainly possible. It's a little dangerous. Snipes the machine shop, which is really nice. That's probably upgrading mines. Gonna take a few shots, but actually most of those Marines were not attacking, so he's fine. Nope, mine's actually finished, so I'm not sure exactly what was upgrading, but he did shut it down. A Vulture Speed. But we do have the third base semi-secured for Desmond. He has a single lurker on the ramp. He has another lurker kind of hanging out at the natural. Those really need, actually, I should say Hydralisk. Those need to be lurkers. Do we have Hive Tech on the way? I don't see a Queen's Nest yet. So that is worrying.
Now, yeah. We do have first vessel out as well from Terran. It just popped. Irradiate just finished upgrading as well, so he's going to have that first Irradiate pretty soon.
Yeah, so we just have a lot of the Zerg players at this level are not rushing to Hive, and that's a legitimate way to play, but you have to know that you're going to have to muscle your way in with lurkers, which is kind of how Desmond played game 1. But this game, I'm not seeing that. This game, he's actually really supply blocked. He just lost a bunch of Overlords over at the 3 o'clock. Yogg is being very thorough with his Marines. He's not actually interested in directly attacking bases, but he is cleaning out every corner he can find, which is paying off for him pretty well. And he is going to start his own third expansion. So Zerg is kind of falling behind just by the fact that he doesn't have tech and the fact that he hasn't really droned after getting his lurker tech up. His main is very low. You know, the curse of the tech. All of these drones have become tech buildings and they have not been replenished. His third is kind of mining, but he's not mining the gas.
Oh.
And we have a push, but there's no way that's getting in.
Yeah, lurker's finishing just in time, burying. Oh, he got an Irradiate off on a lurker. Okay.
Yep, second vessel coming up, so these mutas are actually at real risk of dying.
Oh.
Wow, that's a lot of Scourge.
Oh, nice. He got both.
Yeah.
Both vessels. Good pickoffs there.
Yeah, but even before that one Irradiate could go out, so really good win for Desmond. And honestly, if he can get these mining situations squared away and get his hive going, he's going to be in a good spot. But without either of those, he's falling behind.
Yeah, too bad he didn't have vision. Like, even a couple of Zerglings up there could have denied this third base, killed that SCV off, slow it down anyway. Or if he had his mutas over there, but I realize he has to have them back here to defend. If he could scout that third and deny it, he would be in a really good spot. Oh!
We have some vultures hanging out going towards the bottom right base. There are 2 lurkers on the ramp, and these don't have speed, so they're probably not going to be able to get anything done. But if they do run by, there's nothing else here, and they could potentially kill all of the drones.
Yeah. He is sending a couple mines, and it looks like he's going to set them, maybe? Go up? Okay, just setting another mine there.
Yeah, there's the Queen's Nest now. Once again, the drone lines are just not replenished enough. And this is the point where you start feeling the pressure of Zerg. So I totally understand why he's not droning, but once you have lurker tech, if your lurkers are positioned well, and you have lurker tech at the right time, what can Terran really do? You know, like they can pressure. You can't make only drones, but you need a round or 2 here to have 1 per patch at least. So the longer this goes on, the more you fall behind.
He did get another vessel with a couple of skirts, so very nice. The Zerg is doing a good job keeping on top, killing these vessels, not letting Terran get a lot.
Yeah, the Scourges have been on top of it this game for sure. So without those vessels, it is going to be very hard for Yogg to actually do a push. He has one tank hanging out in the middle. He's kind of got some units scattered around. He got some spider mines over here. Starting a barracks over on the top right. I'm not really sure why you would build a barracks.
And a
Usually,
turret.
yeah, usually you would go like a mech switch into a second main. This certainly isn't SK style. He's got another factory in his normal main, so I'm not sure why he's making a barracks. That's kind of odd.
Engagement here in the middle of the map. Okay, good pull back. He doesn't lose any marines to that.
Yeah,
Losing a
decent
few
control.
Zerglings, but good control. He's
Yep.
still got his lurker. Oh, he's gonna. I don't know about that tank.
Yeah, that was a nice win from Yogg. I mean, lost all the Scourge without getting the vessel, lost a couple of the lurkers, and there's really not much he can do right now. He needs to wait and either get that forest a lot beefier or get some defilers out. And Hive just pops, so defilers are a long way away.
And it looked like he was about to send a drone from his main minerals to go mine it, but he's only got 4 drones there mining right now. So it definitely needs to resaturate that main.
Yep, common problem. I mean, even though you're getting pressured, you have the tech and the units to survive. You need to drone, and at this point, it's probably a little late. So you've let your opponent get away with an econ advantage for no good reason. It's a common mistake because you really feel the pressure as a Z right around now.
What's he gonna do with these lurkers? It looks like
he's going in. I don't know about this. There's no Zerglings to help draw fire. All the mutas are going to go down. He's going to get some decent lurker spines, but at the end of the day, he's forced backwards, and you know, his lurkers are just free picking. Actually, Yogg's going to run forward when he sees the unburrow, but the tanks are going to be able to do the job without them M&M.
Yeah, he lost all the lurkers in that, so I definitely think that was better for Yogg.
Ooh, but the vessels might go down here, and they don't have any reaction, so that's a nice little consolation prize. Things like that are really keeping Desmond in the game. He's sniped so many vessels, it's been pretty good. But the defiler mound is so late. I still don't see any defilers out. He's barely mining. I mean, he's basically a 2-base economy, even though he's on 3-base.
Yeah, and we see Yogg's got his 4th CC up. He doesn't have any mining there yet, but once he gets that mining, it's just going to be even worse or harder for Zerg.
Yeah, the thing is, this is the stage where Zerg has just been trying to grow and tech, so that even though there might be half the map for Terran, there might be mines everywhere, there might be tanks everywhere, they can just produce for so long and take over. But I don't think Desmond can grow to that point, so the fact that Yogg is out expanding him and just has army everywhere is not going to be a lot that he can get done coming into the late game.
Yeah, like, he's got a decent army. Desmond does in front of his base, but...
So we actually have a critical mistake down at the bottom right. There is no Nidus Canal. That's got to be priority number 1 when the hive comes down. So now these vessels can just clear these lurkers, and that base is dead. There's nothing here. So right now, you really have to just plan a counter or something as Zerg. I mean, this is just getting out of control in terms of economy.
Yeah, he's just gonna lose his 3rd base. And Yogg started mining from his 4th.
So we have the counter, but it's streaming in piecemeal. So he just lost a lot of Zerglings for free. The filers are too late. You know, you can't rush it. This is the game at this point. If you're committing to a counter, you have to make sure that it's as strong as you can make it. So every unit's got to be pulled. You got to rally new units, and you can't be bleeding units like this. So kind of critical mistakes here.
Well, he does get a couple of decent swarms off.
Interesting movement, actually trying to snipe anything before it can get under the swarm. It's not going to work out, but there's only 2 swarms. The Defiler is still alive, but it has nothing to consume. I guess there's 1 Scourge getting chased away. And that's going to be the end of that push, really. So decent damage, but it had to be game-ending. So at this point, I think Desmond is just too far gone.
Yeah, I mean, losing that 3rd base is huge. He's on 2 bases now, and one of them is barely mining. So he's I mean, he's streaming up these Zerglings now to try and help because he knows he's got to do some damage here or it's over. But I don't think it's going to be enough.
Yeah, once the swarm fades, there's not going to be a lot that he can do. Looks like Yogg is actually bringing some of his M&M back to help defend, and even if he breaks the natural at this point, I don't think it's going to be enough. You know, Yogg still has the standing army that took out the third, so he can just bring that back. He'll be totally safe. And
Actually,
there's... No, go ahead.
I was going to say, we actually had no mining even for Yogg at his natural. I don't know if he just ran his SCVs away recently, or he's got like one SCV mining there. I didn't notice that before.
Yeah, both of them have kind of weird saturation. I guess there's a lot at the third for Yogg, but both players need more workers in general. Just not at the appropriate level of mining.
Something to be aware of, or make sure you got enough workers at all your bases.
Yeah, so a decent cleanup going to kill a lot of medics here, but we're at two almost mined out bases with barely any drones mining for Zerg, whereas Terran is going to be at one half of the map with great tech, decent upgrades. That's pretty tough to deal with. So that Nidus being late was killer. I think just in general, not feeling the pressure to get to Hive Tech is a tough way to play. You can play layer tech versus Terran, but you have to have really, really good control and really strong macro, because if you slip up at all, like everything dies for nothing. Whereas if you're playing with Dark Swarm, you know, a single swarm means that you're good. You can push that position.
We actually do see a Nidus Canal out front now for Zerg, but he's got nowhere to put the other end of it. Kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, you need it in place. Like, even if you noticed immediately that your ramp lurkers are getting irradiated and you start a Nidus, it's not going to be done in time.
It needs to be ready to go ahead of time before
I
Terran can push up and break ramp.
get some mine hits as well.
Using those Hydras.
Yeah, so Terran's almost maxed, and Desmond's struggling on two bases, so I think it's pretty much over here. Good series from both of these guys. I think Desmond showed some really strong aggression in game one.
Gotta have a control group of raids.
Oh, we do. That's actually a great idea. Oh, he just had to leave. Honestly, this is legitimate because there's not a lot of anti-air at this stage. If Terran can kill the Mutaflock, like, what's gonna shoot up? Like, every Hydra becomes a lurker. There might be an Ultra switch, but if you can snipe a Defiler or a couple of lurkers or something, these wraiths pay for themselves. So
Yeah.
if you're ahead, going for something like this is totally legit. Like, this isn't just like a BM move or anything like that.
Yeah, it was well played.
Yep, really well played. Yogg shows that he understands the matchup pretty well.
And that's another 2-0 for CWA as well.
Yeah, so the B team really bringing it. That is 4 2-0s.
Yeah, CWA took all the B team matches against Team Beast this week.
Yeah, so flipping it from being down 1-2 in the A matches to 5-2 in the B matches. So props to the CWA B team for carrying. Well played.